Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Joseph Clough and welcome to episode 314. And if you are one of those wonderful Plus members, which you can get access now to all the extensions for just $7 per month, okay? That is what I'm doing. I'm trying to create a community of people who want to be able to buy into and believe in my mission and vision of helping everyone who needs it. So if you've received value from my work, and you want to be able to get all the bonus extensions, you can go ahead to josephclough.com/plus, P-L-U-S, and that means you'll be at episode 374. Right now, I've just added Amplify resources to dissolve issues. It's an awesome process to just utilize the resources you have to be able to dissolve the issue that you may be experiencing, as well as the codependency release process. And on episode 371, I put in there the audio and video version of the Big Core Issue Finder. It is 54 minutes and 28 seconds of pure gold. It just really means that you no longer have to work on your symptoms ever again, and you just work on the hidden unconscious cause of your issue. Now, that is why I'm talking about this episode in 371, because it's so important to be able to no longer work on your symptoms. And by the way, you get a PDF attached to that as well, which you can fill out. They're specifically designed questions which I use with all my Mind Mastery members as well as my one-to-one clients, which means I just get my results in usually just 3-4 sessions. Rather taking weeks and months and even years, you just get right to the core, and that means you transform. Now, the reason why I want to talk about that today is because I get lots of people emailing me about what they should be really working on. They kind of have a shopping list of symptoms that they want to let go of, or they have this issue and they're saying things like, I got sleep issues, I've got anxiety. Other people will say I've got depression, I've got all these different types of issues. And it's really hard for me to give the specific advice because it takes a good hour of being able to coach someone into that. And that's why I created the Big Core Issue Finder, because it's exactly what I do. And that means it's as if I'm working with you. But before you go ahead and get onto the Plus episode, once again, it's just josephclough.com/plus, P-L-U-S. And whether you join or not, I mean, it's okay. If you want to be a part of that mission and vision of helping lots of people, awesome. I already want to be there, and that means I'm going to give you more than ever before. But if you don't, I still want you to get the clarity and not go through that consistent feeling of that never-ending cycle, that I'm making progress and then I'm stopping. I'm making progress and I'm taking a step backwards. And that idea of that struggle and that internal battle is crazy hard. And I don't want you to suffer through that, because I remember when I used to experience severe anxiety, worry, confidence issues, and I pretty much tried so many different types of things to be able to get the solution. I felt like I tried everything. I didn't, of course. I know we kind of think like we tried so many things and it didn't work. And the reason why many of the things I tried did not work is I was trying to let go of one thing, but really beneath the surface, something else was creating that one thing. So I tried everything, but I didn't do it in the right way. I used alcohol to relax me. I used food to comfort me. I really just kind of used even forms of medication. I tried the whole talk therapy. I tried so many things. I just didn't feel like I belonged. And that's what I really want to get clear to you, because do not go through what I went through, like the years of struggle, that emotional stress, that worry and doubt every day of like second guessing yourself, and that berating self-talk that we experience. It's not cool. It's not something that I want anyone to go through. And that's why I'm talking about this today. Whether you go with the Plus extensions or not, this is going to be super valuable for you, because you need to be able to get to the hidden root cause of your issues. You see, many people believe that they have to like shed tears, face past traumas, put hours a day in struggling and fighting their issue, and even pay thousands on a therapist or thousands on a coach or another hypnotist or buying loads of hypnosis titles within the app. That's like a common belief. You've got to go through all that pain to be able to get the solution. But the hidden truth is, by doing that, you can actually increase more of the issue because it simply reaffirms it. I mean, if you think about it, if you keep on trying something and you never quite get to the finish line, or you take steps forward, but then you always take some steps back, it just reinforces even and reaffirms the issue. And that becomes a habit. It becomes a way of being in this world, and you get used to it. And if furthermore than that, you then begin to feel like a failure. You feel like, I'm broken, nothing will ever change, and I'm a failure. Let me put it this way. You're not a failure. You might feel like that, and I know it's hard, one person saying that you're not when you feel like it sometimes, having tried so many things. But what we're doing is we're putting our attention in the wrong place. And all you need to do is get to the hidden root cause of having your specific issue and get the unconscious mind to learn and upgrade itself, which means the issue cannot exist anymore because you're no longer working on the symptoms. You see, I remember when I spent thousands of pounds, and that would be thousands of dollars. And you know what? It wasn't the processes that I was doing, like all the things I was investing in, which was the issue. It wasn't that, the enthusiasm wasn't there. It was because I felt like a failure. I felt as if, how is this not actually working? How can it possibly be? I've tried all these things, spent all this money, spent all this time, the countless of hours of trying to work on all that I experienced, and I just didn't get anywhere. I mean, it is really, really that horrible feeling of feeling broken, feeling resigned that nothing will ever change. You see, I focused on working on each one of my symptoms: the blushing, the panic attacks, the anxiety, the shyness, the self-doubt, the depression, the lack of sleep, the fear of rejection, the low self-esteem, the fear that I was experiencing, the overwhelm, social anxiety, fear of being judged. What else? Maybe nervousness, critical self-talk, people-pleasing, and deep negative feelings. I mean, that's just like a touch of the surface. And maybe you've been experiencing one or more of those things. But it's not how it really works. I mean, if you can imagine in your mind that we've got like a blank piece of paper and you put all your symptoms on that piece of paper. It's actually on the PDF within the Plus show. You can actually fill it out really easily, but in your mind, you can hallucinate this. You got a piece of paper and you're just putting all your symptoms out there. And it's like, well, which one do I work on? Do I work on this one or that one? And as soon as you let go of one, or you make a dent in one, it either comes back quicker and stronger. It just highlights the other symptoms instead because you remove one and then you just see all the rest of them. And it seems like this never-ending cycle. And it feels like it's going to take forever to get the emotional freedom because that symptoms come back with vengeance. And I always like the analogy. It's like pulling the leaf off a weed and expecting it not to grow back. It's just always going to grow back, right? Until you get to the root of that weed. And I think we've been sold a lie. I think we've been sold a lie by, I'm not going to name names or anything like that because it's such a big epidemic that as soon as we've got a symptom, we look it up and then we think, okay, I've got to solely work on that. A lot of therapists will be saying, look, let's work on this symptom first and then the next one and then the next one for the longevity of the life cycle of a client in a therapy practice. I'm not saying for everyone, but there are many people who do not get taught how to find the root cause, and it should be like the number one thing when you're learning how to educate people. I had to figure this out by myself, like how to get to the hidden root cause so I could lightning speed resolve the issues within my clients. And like I said, ultimately you only ever feel like a failure and unfixable if you go about this way, just like working on the symptoms. Trust me, it will not work. But I remember when I had my epiphany, okay? So I've been really, really working on myself. I was experiencing these symptoms and I just felt as if I wanted this extra connection. And it was coming up to my birthday, and I've been like reflecting on all the things that I've done, thinking about all the money that I spent, all the time I put into it, yet never really getting anywhere. And it got to the point where it was actually my birthday. In fact, it was my birth night. I was outside my house in Cambridge, England. And in May, it's usually pretty good weather. Like in the springtime, it's nice. It's kind of cool in the evening sometimes. Sometimes it'll be cold, but this one was like a perfect, almost summer evening. And as I was outside my house, it was late at night, and I was just really reflecting on all the things that I've been trying. I felt that sense of tension in my muscles almost. Although it was like emotional, psychological stuff, I felt this tension. I felt this dull ache of resignation, of trying and trying and trying and just going around in circles. That fear, that worry, that doubt, that voice on the inside just belittling me. You can't do this. You're not good enough. You're not worthy. Who are you to do this? You're never going to make it. You're never going to get that emotional freedom that you crave. You're not going to get the solution you've been craving. And it was hard in that moment. But the weirdest thing happened, and my epiphany was like crazy. It's like what I would call something of like a transpersonal experience, like this awakening, this moment of clarity. And it was crazy huge, because as I was thinking about this cycle of this never-ending working on my symptoms, all the money that I spent, all the time I put into it, and making changes, but then always going backwards, as if like I'm starting again. And it was really weird, because in a second, everything became quiet. Like outside, no cars were going outside, all the trees had stopped like moving in the wind. You could hear a pin drop. It was just silence. And this weird feeling came over me. It was almost like everything stopped on the outside, but everything stopped on the inside too. For times I was feeling pain, I felt freedom now. That turmoil became peace. I felt a level of tranquility. I felt an experience of connection, that something was happening. And that's when I knew exactly what I needed to do. You see, just like you probably, you've been focusing on the symptoms, the blushing, the anxiety, the panic attacks, the lack of sleep, the fear of rejection, all that stuff, right? The fear of being judged, all the self-talk and negative feelings. And it's like an iceberg. On the top of this iceberg, that's all we see, right? The tip. And that is like all the issues that we see. It's in our subjective reality. We see it, we hear it, we feel it, we smell it, we taste it. It's all in our reality. And that's why we know we have issues, right? And it makes sense. Because if you say, for example, injure your arm, you're going to get pain there to do what? The pain is a symptom for you to look after your arm. You don't solve letting go of the pain, because you could just damage it again. You've got to address what is the cause of that pain. So what is the cause, like beneath the iceberg, beneath the water? What is the cause of all of those symptoms? What is the deeper part of you which is unexpressed or being repressed at a deep unconscious level, which you have no way of finding out because we've just been focusing on the symptoms and on the stresses? It's something that we have to really wake up to the fact to, that you've got to go out there and go, okay, look, Joseph is saying, I've got all my symptoms out there. Let me go ahead and list out all these symptoms. Just get on paper. What am I experiencing mentally, physically, emotionally? How is it showing up in my world, in my perception? Is it that I've got that self-doubt? I've got that self-talk. I've got the feeling of blushing in my face. I've got the anxiety in my chest. Like, you just map it all out on a piece of paper. Now, your job is to figure out what that root cause can be, okay? So what is the one thing which is creating everything else? And I urge you to do this. If you want to change in lightning speed, If you want to be able to use my hypnosis or use any one of my processes or anyone else's, if you're working with a therapist, you need to get them to get you to the root cause. Seriously, you can do it in 55 minutes. Like I've said, that's what my program I've created for the Plus members. You just got to get to that root cause. You got to stop. If you promise me one thing, stop working on the symptoms, my friend, because the symptoms are not going to help in the transformation. You've got to get to the root cause, which is creating the symptoms. Symptoms are there to tell you that something is wrong, which will then tell you or set you on a path as, okay, what is the root cause of that? You don't work on the symptoms. If you go to a doctor, what do? A good doctor would be they'll get all your symptoms and then figure out what is causing the symptoms. They're not going to say, okay, you need this for that symptom, then you need to do this pill for that symptom, then you need to do this for that symptom and this for that symptom. Otherwise, you'll be taking millions of pills to try to cover all your symptoms, or lots of different forms of therapy, depending on the doctor. If they're good doctors, they recognize the pattern of the symptoms, and once they recognize the pattern, they can usually tell you what that cause of the issue, right? Like it could go, okay, do you know what, all those symptoms, that's clearly, from what you've told me, a bacterial infection, or it's clearly a sinus issue, and you've got to be able to use this one thing which is going to let go of all your symptoms. Does that make sense to you? You've got to not just work on the symptoms anymore. The paradigm has changed. We got to get to the root cause. The one, maybe two, but I always say really the one thing which is creating the rest. If you work on the rest and you never find the core, you never get to the core, then you're going to struggle. I'm not going to say you're not going to get there, because look, you can get there. Maybe one of those symptoms is the core thing. But what I'm really trying to let you in on, if you feel like you're doing lots but not getting the success, that should be your signal that you're not working on the right thing. Was it Einstein who said doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result? So are we working on the symptom and getting the same result, but thinking, okay, I'm going to keep on working at this one symptom? That's not what we go about. I mean, that whole quotation was pretty much saying that's what the definition of insanity is: doing the same behavior over and over again and expecting a different result. We do not want to go down that level of trying to work on all the symptoms, getting the same result of maybe making a dent in it, maybe making a 50% change, if you're lucky, to then go and regress backwards to the issue. You need to really figure out what that core issue is. Now, like I said, I wish I could give all of that to you, because it's a video, it's a step-by-step process, it's a PDF which you go with me with this to get to the root cause. You need to be able to, I put a lot of time into that. That to me is the quickest way to get to the root cause. Like I said, I do it with my Mind Mastery members. Now the Plus members are gonna have access to that. And either you maybe want to find a therapist who's very good at getting to the core issue. And you can tell, by the way. You go and see for a free consultation, and then you give them a little bit of insight on the first session. If they haven't given you that aha moment, that epiphany like I experienced, that wow, I can't believe it, this is the root cause. If I let go of this one thing, everything will change. If they don't get to that level in 50 minutes or so, maybe an hour and a half, you should be getting an hour and a half, okay? Probably 60 minutes is the real thing if you've got a good, skilled therapist. If they are not doing that, I really think that they're maybe not the right person. Like I said, I don't want to say, oh, this person's good and that person's not. But what I'm trying to do is look out for you that, look, don't work on the symptoms. Find the root cause, which is creating the sum of the symptoms. Because if you let go of that root cause, your life will transform. You will change to a whole new level, and it's like lightning quick. And that's where I believe I get what are perceived as magical results. So when I work with my clients, they're like, oh my goodness, everything is gone or everything is changing. It's because we've found the root cause. It's not magic. It just seems like magic. You've just got to get to this and specify the one core thing that if it were to disappear, would let go of everything. So if there's one thing I want you to declare right now, so look, Joseph, I'm going to refuse to work on the symptoms. I'm going to find the root cause, and then I'm going to find the right hypnosis track, which addresses that one issue. Or I'm going to find a therapist who's now going to address that one issue. I mean, that's the other thing. You could just do my process and see a therapist as well, and then you can give them the insight. And they're going to be like thinking you're a genius. Like, how did you get to the root cause like this? Because you have to get that. When you get that, your life will transform. So I really hope you enjoyed this episode of just giving you some clarity that, look, this is what you have to do. Don't be wasting your time. Do not be wasting your money going on working on the symptoms, carrying on over and over, because you're going to feel like a failure, and you're not one. You are so awesome, and you're so capable to achieve exactly what you want. And I know it, because really, it's a step-by-step process. It's a step-by sequential process that will cause you to experience the emotional freedom that you've been craving from each and every one of those symptoms. You've got it. You've got everything you need to make this change. You've just got to be able to find that one root cause. Once again, if you want to be able to get access to my version of it, the 55-minute audio and video and the PDF, all you've got to do is go to josephclough.com/plus, Plus, and that will go ahead and give you the login to the private URL to the extensions. And of course, you get everything else with the extensions as well. Like I said, the recent hypnosis tracks, the dependency release process, all those things, like all the things I've been saying about the extensions, you're going to get access to all of those, and it's only $7 per month. And that means you're helping me help others, and we're transforming as this wonderful group, and we're making a change in the world. Just realize I believe in you, and whatever you do, just work on that one root cause. So if you're going to josephclough.com/plus, I look forward to speaking to you in future extensions, or I'll look forward to speaking to you on a future episode. Have the most wonderful day, and I'll speak to you soon. Many thanks and goodbye.